Disappeared when I needed him most. Now he's back 16 years later, trying to steal my family because he thinks my stepson is our child homewrecker alert. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to share something with you today that's been eating me alive for the past month. This story is so crazy that people in my real life don't even believe it when I tell them. But I have the texts, the voicemails, and the receipts to prove every single word of what I'm about to tell you. My name is Jessica. I'm 34 years old, and I thought I had successfully buried my past. But apparently, the past has a way of digging itself back up and trying to destroy everything you've built. So buckle up, because this story has more twists than a soap opera. The beginning of my nightmare. Let me take you back 16 years. I was 18, fresh out of high school, and thought I knew everything about love. I was dating this guy named Tyler, tall, charming, the kind of guy every girl in school had a crush on. We'd been together for about a year when I found out I was pregnant. I remember sitting on my bathroom floor at 2 a.m., staring at that positive pregnancy test, completely terrified. I was supposed to start college in the fall. I had plans, dreams, a whole future mapped out, and suddenly everything changed with two pink lines. When I told Tyler the next day, his reaction was not what I expected. First, he was silent for what felt like forever. Then he started pacing around his room, running his hands through his hair. "Are you sure?" he kept asking. "Like, absolutely sure?" I showed him the test. Then I showed him the second test I'd taken that morning just to be certain. "Jessica, I can't do this," he said, his voice shaking. "I'm supposed to go to state in the fall. I got that scholarship. I can't be a dad right now." I tried to reason with him. I told him we could figure it out together, that maybe we could both still go to college, just differently than we'd planned. But Tyler was already mentally checking out of our relationship and the situation. "I need some time to think," he said, which in 18-year-old boy speak apparently meant, "I need some time to figure out how to disappear from your life completely." When he vanished over the next 2 weeks, Tyler became increasingly distant. He stopped returning my calls, started avoiding the places he knew I'd be. When I finally managed to corner him at his part-time job, he looked at me like I was a stranger. "Tyler, we need to talk about this," I said. "We need to make some decisions." "I already made my decision," he replied coldly. "I'm not ready to be a father, Jessica. I'm 18 years old. This isn't my problem." "This isn't your problem?" I repeated, barely believing what I was hearing. "I'm carrying your child." "You chose to keep it," he said with a shrug that still makes my blood boil 16 years later. "You deal with it." And just like that, Tyler Walsh walked out of my life. He blocked my number, blocked me on social media, and within a month, he'd left town for college like nothing had ever happened. He left me alone, scared, and pregnant with no support system except my parents, who were devastated and struggling to figure out how to help me. The hardest decision of my life. The next few months were the darkest period of my entire life. I was dealing with morning sickness, doctor's appointments, and the judgment of people in my small town who had plenty of opinions about the pregnant teenager whose boyfriend had bailed. My parents were supportive, but they were also realistic. They couldn't afford to help me raise a child. They were already struggling financially. I was too young and unprepared to be a mother, especially as a single mom with no resources. After weeks of agonizing over my options, I made the decision to place my baby for adoption. It wasn't what I wanted. What I wanted was for Tyler to come back and for us to figure it out together, like he'd promised we would when we first started dating and talking about our future. But that wasn't reality. I found an amazing couple through a local adoption agency, Mike and Linda Peterson. They'd been trying to have children for years and were so grateful for the opportunity to become parents. They paid for all my medical expenses. included me in doctor's appointments, and made me feel like I was giving my child the best possible life. When I gave birth to my son, because yes, it was a boy, on March 15th, I got to hold him for a few hours before the Petersons took him home. I named him Dylan after my grandfather, and I whispered to him that I loved him and that this wasn't because I didn't want him, but because I wanted what was best for him. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I knew it was right. Building a new life. After Dylan's birth, I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I started college a semester late, worked 2 part-time jobs to pay for it, and focused entirely on my future. I didn't date anyone for almost 3 years. I was too focused on healing and too afraid of getting hurt again. When I finally did start dating again, I was very careful about the men I chose to invest my time in. I'd learned the hard way that not everyone who says they love you will stick around when things get difficult. 5 years ago, I met David. He was different from Tyler in every way that mattered. David was 32 when we met, stable, kind, and had already proven he could handle responsibility. He was a single dad raising his 14-year-old son, Marcus, after his ex-wife had decided motherhood wasn't for her. David and I took things slow. When I told him about Dylan and the adoption, he didn't judge me or make me feel ashamed. He understood that I'd made an impossible decision at a very young age, and he respected me for it. We got married 2 years ago, and Marcus officially asked if he could call me Mom at our wedding. I ugly cried for about 10 minutes. This kid, who I'd known since he was 14, had chosen me as his mom. It was healing in a way I didn't even know I needed. Marcus is 16 now, and while he's not my biological child, he is absolutely my son in every way that matters. David and I have built this beautiful, stable life together. We own a house, both have good careers, and we're genuinely happy. Or at least, we were happy until last month when my past came crashing back into my life. The appointment that changed everything. Last month, I took Marcus to a routine medical appointment. He'd been having some issues with his knee from playing basketball, and his doctor wanted to do some follow-up x-rays. Marcus is tall for his age, about 6'2", with dark brown hair and green eyes like his father. He's a good-looking kid, athletic, and has this easy smile that makes everyone like him immediately. We were sitting in the waiting room, Marcus scrolling through his phone and me reading a magazine, when I heard someone say my name. Jessica? Jessica Miller? I looked up and my entire world stopped. Standing in front of me was Tyler Walsh, 16 years older, but unmistakably the same person who had abandoned me when I needed him most. Oh my God, I breathed, my magazine falling to the floor. Tyler looked exactly like I remembered, just more mature. Same dark hair, same green eyes, same charming smile, though this time his smile faltered when he saw the shock on my face. I can't believe it's really you, he said, sitting down in the chair across from us without being invited. Wow, you look amazing. I was still trying to process the fact that Tyler was sitting in front of me when I noticed his eyes shift to Marcus, who had looked up from his phone to see what was happening. Tyler's face went completely white. Is this? He started, staring at Marcus with an expression I couldn't quite read, and that's when I realized what he was thinking. Marcus is 16, the same age Dylan would be now. Marcus has dark hair and green eyes, the same coloring Tyler and I both have. To someone who didn't know better, Marcus could absolutely be Tyler's son. Tyler, this is my stepson, Marcus, I said quickly, standing up. Marcus, this is an old friend from high school. But Tyler wasn't listening to my introduction. He was staring at Marcus like he'd seen a ghost, and I could practically see the wheels turning in his head. Your stepson? Tyler repeated, his voice strange. But he looks exactly like, he's 16, right? Marcus, bless him, was looking between us with obvious confusion. Mom, do you want me to go wait in the car? He asked, clearly sensing the tension. No, sweetheart, it's fine, I said, but Tyler was already standing up. Jessica, we need to talk, he said urgently. Can I, can I get your number? There's so much I need to say to you. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to say no and walk away. But there was something in his expression, a desperation I'd never seen before, that made me pause. Against my better judgment, I gave him my number. The text that revealed everything. That night, Tyler started texting me. At first, the messages were nostalgic. Apologies for how things ended, questions about my life, comments about how good I looked. I was polite but distant in my responses, but then the messages got weird. I can't stop thinking about him. Tyler texted at 11 p.m. He looks so much like both of us. Tyler, Marcus is my husband's son, I replied. He's not related to us at all. Come on, Jessica, I'm not stupid. He's 16, he has our eyes, our hair color. Why didn't you tell me? I stared at my phone in disbelief. Tyler thought Marcus was Dylan. He thought I'd kept our son and was now raising him as my stepson. Tyler, you're mistaken, I texted back. Marcus is David's biological son. I've told you this. But Tyler wasn't buying it. Over the next few days, the texts kept coming. He'd somehow convinced himself that Marcus was the baby I'd been pregnant with 16 years ago and that I'd been lying about the adoption. I've been thinking about this for days, he texted. You probably told everyone he was your stepson to protect me, right? Because you didn't want people to know I'd abandoned you both? The delusion was staggering. Tyler had created this entire fantasy in his head where I'd raised our son alone, then married David and pretended Marcus was David's child to, what, spare Tyler's reputation? Tyler, I need you to listen to me very carefully, I texted back. I placed our baby for adoption in 2008. Marcus is not our child. He is my husband's biological son from his previous relationship. Stop lying to me, Jessica, came his response. I know my own son when I see him. When delusion became dangerous. Tyler's texts became increasingly unhinged over the following week. He'd apparently done some social media stalking and found pictures of Marcus from various school events and family gatherings. I missed 16 years of his life because of your lies, he texted. But I'm here now and I want to be part of his life. Tyler, you need to stop this, I replied. Marcus has a father. He has a family. You have no connection to him whatsoever. But Tyler was beyond reason. He started showing up places where he knew I might be. The grocery store, my work, even Marcus's school events. It was like he was trying to insert himself into our lives. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago when Tyler approached Marcus directly. Marcus had stayed after school for basketball practice, and when he came out to the parking lot, Tyler was waiting by my car. Hey, Marcus, Tyler said, using the overly friendly tone adults use when they're trying to connect with teenagers. I'm Tyler. I'm a friend of your mom's. Marcus, who's a smart kid, immediately felt uncomfortable. He texted me while Tyler was talking to him, just one word: help. I called the school immediately and asked them to send security to the parking lot. By the time I got there, Tyler was gone, but Marcus was shaken. Mom, that guy was really weird, Marcus told me on the drive home. He kept asking me about my childhood and saying I looked familiar. He wanted to know when my birthday was. That night, I told David everything about Tyler, about Dylan, about the adoption, and about Tyler's current delusion that Marcus was our son. David was incredible about it. He wasn't angry about my past. He already knew about Dylan. He was angry that someone was harassing his family and making his son uncomfortable. This ends now, David said. We're calling the police tomorrow. The final confrontation. Before we could call the police, Tyler forced a confrontation that revealed just how deep his delusion had become. He showed up at our house on a Saturday morning while David was at work and Marcus was at a friend's house. I was alone doing laundry when I heard the doorbell ring. I looked through the peephole and saw Tyler standing on my front porch, holding what looked like a manila envelope. Jessica, I know you're in there, he called out. We need to talk about our son. I called David immediately, then cracked the door open with the chain still attached. Tyler, you need to leave now. Not until you stop lying to me, he said, holding up the envelope. I've been doing research, Jessica. I know Marcus is our son. What kind of research? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. I hired a private investigator, Tyler said, like this was a completely normal thing to do. He found Marcus's birth certificate. My blood ran cold. Tyler, that's illegal. You can't just. His birthday is February 28th, 2008, Tyler interrupted. Do you know what that means? I stared at him through the crack in the door. It means he was born in February 2008. It means he was conceived in May 2007, Tyler said triumphantly, the same time you got pregnant with our baby. The logic was so flawed, I didn't even know where to start. Yes, if Marcus had been born in February 2008, he would have been conceived around May 2007, but that didn't make him Tyler's son. It just made him roughly the same age as Dylan would have been. Tyler, thousands of babies were born in February 2008, I said as patiently as I could manage. That doesn't make Marcus your son. Combined with the fact that he looks exactly like us, Tyler pressed. Come on, Jessica. I know you're protecting David's feelings, but Marcus deserves to know who his real father is. That's when I realized Tyler wasn't just delusional. He was dangerous. He'd convinced himself so thoroughly that Marcus was his son that no amount of evidence was going to change his mind. I want you to leave, David, Tyler said, his voice getting more intense. We can finally be the family we were supposed to be 16 years ago, you, me, and Marcus. Tyler, you're scaring me, I said honestly. Marcus is not your son. I am not leaving my husband. You need to get help. I'm not leaving until you admit the truth, Tyler said, sitting down on my front porch steps like he was prepared to camp out there. That's when I called the police. The truth about DNA. When the police arrived, Tyler tried to explain his theory to them. To their credit, they listened patiently before explaining that he needed to leave my property and stop contacting my family. But he's my son, Tyler insisted. I can prove it with a DNA test. One of the officers looked at me. Ma'am, is there any possibility this man is the father of your child? Marcus is my stepson, I explained. His biological father is my husband, David. Tyler and I dated in high school, but Marcus is not his child. The officer turned back to Tyler. Sir, you need to leave now. If you continue to harass this family, you'll be arrested. Tyler left, but not before shouting, I know he's my son, Jessica, and I'm going to prove it. After the police left, I called David and told him what had happened. He came home immediately, and we decided it was time to tell Marcus the whole truth about what was going on. Marcus handled it better than I expected. He was angry that someone was harassing our family, but he also felt bad for Tyler. He sounds really confused, Marcus said, like really mentally confused. Out of the mouths of babes, Marcus, at 16, had more insight into Tyler's mental state than Tyler did. David suggested we get a restraining order, but I had a different idea. What if we just give him the DNA test he wants? I suggested. Once he sees that Marcus isn't his son, maybe he'll finally believe us and leave us alone. David wasn't thrilled with the idea of involving Marcus in Tyler's delusion, but Marcus was surprisingly on board. If it'll make the creepy guy leave us alone, I'll do it, he said. So we arranged for DNA testing through our lawyer. Tyler was served with papers requiring him to provide a sample, and we did the test last week, the results that should have ended everything. The DNA results came back 3 days ago. As everyone except Tyler expected, there was zero genetic relationship between Tyler and Marcus. Our lawyer called Tyler's lawyer to share the results, thinking this would finally put an end to the harassment. We were wrong. Tyler's response was to claim that the DNA test had been tampered with. He's now insisting that David somehow switched the samples, or that I bribed the testing company, or that there's some vast conspiracy to keep him from his son. Yesterday, I got a text from Tyler that said, "Nice try with the fake DNA results. I'm not giving up on my boy." This morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Tyler and a voicemail that said, "I know Marcus is my son, Jessica, and I'm going to keep fighting for him until you admit the truth." Where we stand now. So that's where we are right now. Tyler disappeared when I needed him most 16 years ago, and now he's back, trying to steal my family because he's convinced himself that my stepson is our biological child. The restraining order has been filed, but Tyler seems to think this is all just a misunderstanding that can be cleared up if he just tries hard enough to make me admit the truth. David and I are considering moving. Marcus shouldn't have to deal with this insanity, and I'm terrified of what Tyler might do next. The fact that he's not accepting DNA evidence suggests he's having some kind of mental break from reality. The irony isn't lost on me that Tyler, who wanted nothing to do with our actual biological child 16 years ago, is now obsessed with claiming a child who isn't even his. I've been in contact with Dylan's adoptive parents over the years. They send me updates and photos periodically. Dylan is a happy, healthy 16-year-old who plays soccer and wants to be a veterinarian. He looks nothing like Marcus, by the way. Dylan has blonde hair and blue eyes like his adoptive father, and he's short and stocky like his adoptive mother. If Tyler had bothered to stick around 16 years ago, he would know what his actual son looks like. Instead, he's fixated on a child who happens to be the right age and has similar coloring. My message to Tyler. Tyler, if you're somehow watching this, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you are, I need you to hear me clearly. Marcus is not your son. The DNA test proved it. Marcus has a father who loves him, who's been there for him every day of his life, who's earned the right to be called Dad. You forfeited any right to be part of my life when you abandoned me 16 years ago. You don't get to come back now and try to claim a family that was never yours. Get help, Tyler. Talk to a therapist. Talk to a counselor. Talk to someone who can help you process whatever is going on in your head that's making you unable to accept reality. But leave my family alone. 2. Everyone watching. If you're dealing with someone from your past who won't accept that the past is over, please know that you're not alone. Sometimes people create fantasies in their heads that are more appealing than reality, and they'll fight to maintain those fantasies even when presented with evidence that contradicts them. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because you have a history with them. You don't owe anyone forgiveness, and you definitely don't owe anyone your current happiness to make up for past mistakes they made. Protect your peace, protect your family, and don't let anyone convince you that their delusions are your responsibility to manage. That's my story. Disappeared when I needed him most. Now he's back 16 years later, trying to steal my family because he thinks my stepson is our child. And yes, it really is a homewrecker alert because Tyler is trying to destroy my marriage based on a fantasy he's created in his own mind. I'll keep you updated on how this situation develops, but hopefully, Tyler will eventually accept reality and move on with his life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.